And they still have to eat lunch.
Fine, but it feels like
Did you get stuff in McGurk's?
Yeah.
it's got different levels, it's got different bars, it's got there's nothing wrong. My point is, you ever know down here,
Good playing this morning. Ruined our Cinderella hometown cooking.
sorry, it's not.
Good luck to that.
Right.
Very visible. Like, so, I mean, I guess it's whatever. I like ours. I love space. Yeah. People want to hear it.
Yeah. Well, we got there.
Yeah.
We
They put in the new. Yeah.
no. We were there. Last night. We got there before 6. So like meeting started at 6. We 6:30 reservations. We had laps at the park. Just the whole thing.
Think about this. 5-foot section of bar kind of in the middle of the
Yeah.
thing at Adobe.
You got
Like you and like you have like 2 up there and then you couldn't even get to it. It was all kind of never really looked at.
I'll tell you what, we had last summer, we had 2 dinners out on
Patio.
very nice, very nice.
So you could get the good. Who's going to be on court?
It's another good match.
Wait, this is for.
So what? Tomas on 1. And you better stay.
You got to get the numbers down.
Let's go change the phones.
It's not really.
You understand why I don't normally ask my input? But you ask my input on everything else. Should I play the ad?
You're like,
Sure,
you're
a
like,
lot more.
you ask me about the shitty minutia stuff.
Yeah,
How about the real decisions?
This is like big time impact stuff. I on hill.
I did like last night. In one section, at one point during the final, it was the typical, the wind blew just out of this section for a little bit, and then the court is covered in snow. I'm like, that's awesome.
Uh-oh! Oh! Who's back?
Rematch.
Rematch
season.
What's up, brother? How you doing? Oh, Fran, Mark. Nice to meet you.
And I see him.
Andrew Madelon.
I know it. Dude, we're getting fucked. We just wait. 3-hour, Tomas, 3-hour.
Well, they're going to play on.
I don't know.
The best is,
I don't care now. Go through there.
I don't know. It's our hill. You have team courts. If you need team courts,
Shit, here he is.
keep walking.
Go that way. Go that way. We don't have it. We don't want any. No soup for you.
they're all at 3 o'clock.
There's 2:45.
Yeah, it's all.
Mark, nice to good save.
Andy, Joe Ryan. Andrew, nice to see you. Although I recognize you, but I don't know.
Unilopper.
It looks great. But
Oh, we have t-shirts. We have t-shirts.
I'm the best umpire.
What did you do with support? They're staring it out. They're staring them out.
Look at your shoes.
Let me go like this.
Wait, was that the, are you kidding? Yes. That's are you serious? Are you serious? Are you serious? Second set. Second set. Yeah, are you serious?
The ball looked out.
All about you.
She's scared. Oh, she said that?
I felt like responding Friday night at 6 o'clock. It would be this fucking.
Freezing my ass off.
You'd rather be in the Green
Who's got here?
other places I'd rather be.
Who's got here?
Surprise. I was going to say, are you fucking?
So, ladies, no. Your dad got kind of different than that.
How was it?
How much she needs.
Oh, you went to Dallas. You didn't go to,
The only thing I did right is give me a ruling. Nobody did it. Just did we volunteer. What are you doing?
all about you. Oh my God.
All about you. She went full bitch. What's the other I've been going for it.
Really?
He's like, what?
45. Yeah.
I don't even want to be here.
It started. Oh, it's actually.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't. It was kind of revenue. So I guess all the Scott thing or whatever.
Dennis? Fine, thank you.
we just warm up here. What
Yeah, I
time do you guys start?
3 o'clock. So so I think we're going right now. But yes, use it until. So how's life? Good?
Yeah, man, life's good. And for you?
No.
Complaints.
That'll bring out guys like me to the finals, you know? Jackie! Oh, he's got it. Philippe, don't get too close. You might mess up your game this close to the match. All right, hold that. I do. I can deliver what you need. Yeah. Main course. Main live stream. Your brother's on the side live stream. Really? Yeah, man. Do you have any questions about how to pronounce any of their last names?
The one long one I think is actually pretty easy to.
How do you pronounce it?
I gotta read it. Is that yours last name?
Lambropoulos, that's what I would come up with.
Lambropoulos.
Papadopoulos.
Mine is Grangier. I'm from I'm from France.
Oh.
You like? You give me the cue on the live stream for the intros.
No, when they start warming up their serves, do the intro and then keep an eye on their feet. And if you see any foot faults, warn them during warm up. And if they do it during the match, nail their ass. Yeah, this one doesn't come down. They put it up here wrong. They're all right. Clean right. You need one more? Or you want me to hold them and keep them warm? And I'll send them up. Because you have what, 2? Do you guys have any balls or no?
I got 2.
You got 2 more?
2 paddle balls?
Nope.
Hey, Jackie.
No, you got it.
Jackie, do we have any like
gotta be
warm
more
up balls
specific
that
in
are
your-
lightly used or?
Give me a second.
You gotta be way more specific in your line of questioning, Derek. You're
Yeah,
not a lawyer,
with your
are you?
ass? Yes, I do.
Yeah, you're not a lawyer, are you?
Don't want to be.
Change your shoes.
Alright, so we'll go warm ups and then start the match with Brandon. You got 2? Here, let me give you one more. That way when they start, you still got 2.
Amazing match point. What athleticism.
And there you have it, your APTA national champions.
Best match of the year.
Brilliant shot.
Incredible stuff. And it's sitting up and he's right there. Hello and welcome to the APTA Tour. We are live from the Manufacturers Golf and Country Club, bringing you the Philly Open Men's and Women's NRT, a 2022-23 APTA Tour event, which is the 11th stop on the APTA Tour, presented by Remedy Plus and sponsored by the APTA membership, the APTA national sponsors Paddle Pro and Fusion, and local sponsors Xenon and MAPTA organization. Hi, I'm Anthony Casamano, along with Patty Hogan, bringing you the quarterfinals of the Philly Open.
Hi, Anthony.
Hi, Patty. How are you?
Doing great. This is going to be a fun matchup with, we'll take a look at the players on the court, but we have a new team of Rams and Bostrom, which I think is one of the intriguing pairings going into nationals. They had success, won a tournament earlier in the season, and they're up against, Granger and Lampropoulos, number 10 team in the country. So really an intriguing matchup. Should be a close match.
Absolutely.
Let's go out to the court and let's see.
The players.
Okay, Anthony, when we get a shot of the players, I'll let you know who everybody is on the court here. Okay, on the far side, the tall guy with the dark hat, light blue sleeves, Mitch Granger, his partner, Alex Lampropoulos. On the near side, in the deuce court here, Philip Rams, and in the ad court, to the left of it, Martin Bostrom. Anthony, should we take a quick look at the draw, see how we've gotten here?
Sure, let's take a quick look.
Yeah, so
Bostrom and Rams.
Take it, Anthony. You take it.
Okay, Bostrom and Rams had their first match against Coutinho and Rodriguez, 6-3, 6-love. And Granger and Lampropoulos played Cotet and Sanford, a long two-set match. And here we are in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, this is the top half of the draw. As you can see, the winner of this match will play the winner of Humphreys Osis Koenig. They're playing against their buddies, Dennis and Friedrich, up there in the top part of the draw. And on the other side, we have some intriguing matchups about to be underway with Juan Araya and Alex West against Broderick and Christian on the bottom half of the draw, and Green and Quintina up against our tournament number 1 seed, defending national champs, Burris and Erdoya.
Okay, and our mainstreaming court umpire is Will Carabasi today. Welcome, Will. Our match will be regular scoring, main draw regular scoring, best of 3 sets with a tiebreaker in all sets.
Yeah, Anthony, we've had, thanks to the APTA's live streaming, 12 of the events on the tour this year. The names Granger and Lampropoulos have become household names with the live stream audience, and they have improved in the game last couple of years under the tutelage of none other than Mike Raleigh out at Exmoor, and these guys, are looking to improve. I don't know if they can get into the top 8 for nationals in terms of the seeding with, a strong result here. But the real question is, with the team of Bostrom and Rams, we've seen Martin play a lot of matches with a lot of different players. He went out in the quarters of nationals last year with Max Liprever. Rams played with Wagner most of last year and this year. They are a formidable team. They went out in the quarters of nationals as well. So, it'd be interesting, Anthony, when you look at individual rankings and you have Bostrom and Rams, I think the sum of their parts add up to a far greater team than what their individual national rankings, are currently.
Yes, absolutely, and we know Martin's one of the best players on the tour, and so is Rams. So yes, if you look at Mitch Granger and Alex Lampropoulos' rank, I think they're individually 9 and 23, and yes, 16 and 8 for Martin and Philip. So on paper, it certainly would look, they don't look like as strong of a team, but we know that's not the case. They are the number 3 seed coming in today. I think they've only played 2 tournaments, Patty. I'm not sure if that's what you said.
I believe
they played the
one.
Philly Cricket. Oh, just one.
On the right.
Okay. I thought I saw them in Boston. I think you and I talked a little bit earlier that they didn't play Boston.
Let's listen.
I thought I
Let's
did.
listen to the umpire, Anthony, real fast.
And Philip
Right.
Rams in the deuce court from Pittsburgh, PA. On my left, we have Mitch Granger from Lake Forest, Illinois, and Alex Lambropoulos from Lake Forest, Illinois as well. Philip.
Sorry, Anthony, I wanted to hear the umpire do his introductions of the players before we got into this.
Got vitamins, got nutrients.
What happened?
Not spin it. Okay. Up or down, guys.
Looks like they're just about to spin the paddle. Let's see who returns and serves.
Let me see. Let me see. What's the new one?
Bostrom and Rams will receive.
And interesting to see the sides of the court they're playing. Rams is returning here out of the deuce court. We'll talk about Rams and Bostrom and their ability to play really high level out of both sides of the court, and we'll see how that takes shape. And we're off here. Mitch Granger to serve.
And we're underway. First swing by
15 love.
Rams in the net. As we warm up into this match. Here we go. Martin was out early. I was watching earlier before, and I did notice that they had been warming up for quite a bit. So I think they're going to be ready to go right out of the box here, even though we've seen 3 missed drives in a row. They are
40 love.
Have had a longer time in between matches than and Granger had.
Yep.
Anthony, it's going to be intriguing to me to see, how the points get developed from the baseline from Bostrom and Rams here, because they're both such explosive players. Bostrom in that ad court, Anthony, we know he can pound a two-handed backhand, pure ball striker forehand, phenomenal player, deucer ad court, and it'll just be intriguing to see how they pair up their incredible offensive skills together.
40-15.
Yeah, I think we will see a lot of offense from both sides, from both Bostrom and Rams. They've only played together a few times, and sometimes when that's the case, you maybe contrary to what you would think, they actually play a little bit more comfortable and free swinging together, because they haven't gotten into any bad habits necessarily, or not quite sure who would be more offensive or less offensive. And they're both offensive players.
Game. Granger,
A little bit of a loose first
They
game
lead
there.
first
Bostrom and
set,
Rams missed a number of quite makeable balls in that game. But yes, I think they've been sitting idle for a while, and it might take them a game or two to get into this.
Yeah, Granger and Lambropoulos, ranked number 10 in the country, Anthony. And, they are tough out for every team now. And, they've distinguished themselves this season in this sport. And, they walk on the court here, and they expect to win this match, Anthony. I have no doubt.
For sure. And they strike me. I've only seen them play a handful of times, but they strike me as the quintessential grinders. They're going to go out there. They're not going to give free points. They're going to make you earn everything, and they're going to take the opportunities when they see them. So that's what I've seen and heard so far.
Yep, you'll see right there, Lambropoulos out of the ad court. Just, he's got that quickness. He loves his two-handed backhand. Wait till you see that shot, Anthony. He's got the speed much more so than Granger. Granger's a tall guy. He covers a lot of court. These guys are such grinders. I've seen them play like 3-set back-to-back matches in these tournaments. And to your point, they're going to welcome the slowed down tempo, I would expect. and I would expect that Bostrom and Rams would be the one to try to,
Love
you know,
40.
uptick that pace of play a little bit when they get the opportunity.
Yeah, it does look like that's the case early in this match already, with Rams taking quite a few swings that maybe, in my opinion, at least so far early on, haven't been the best choices, but it looks like he's established that he wants to be offensive. And I think he and Bostrom talked about dictating the pace, and maybe that's what they're thinking early is keep the pace at their pace a little faster and not let Granger and Lambropoulos get comfortable in that slow, grinding play.
$15.40.
You know, Rams, when he plays with Wagner, he's used to being the, you know, the go-to guy, offensive threats, blitzing, moving, all over the place. So, you know, watching him out of the deuce court, I'll just be fascinated with how he, you know, what role he assumes over there. If they're both going to be hitting, if they're both looking, like what their conversations have about how they'll build points from the baseline. I think it'll be real obvious how Lambropoulos and Granger are going about this, and I'll be curious to see what patterns develop from the baseline from Bostrom Rams. At the net, I would think they would be phenomenal. Just rock solid. You've already seen they're up there. They have huge wingspans, rock solid volleys, not too many holes there, and a wide variety of offensive overhead. And Anthony, you can see Rams and Bostrom, you know, no issue flipping back and forth on the baseline. I would expect to see this throughout the course of the afternoon.
Got his paddle on that one, just barely. And that's the swing we'll see from Rams. That's an explosive forehand. Not enough, a little bit too much pace to get a comfortable volley on that. And we're at deuce. That was the longest point we've seen so far. A little bit more strategic point from Rams on his side.
Out.
Yeah, and if they can get Granger to take, you know, his overheads at that high contact point, they're going to get a jump on it. And because of Granger's height, that ball sits up. It's going to come right into the sweet spot. Right there, it was for Philip Rams. It was in the ad court at the time.
Great spot. Martin caught the corner. Back to deuce.
Out. Deuce.
Little something extra on the Bostrom serve right there, and Lambropoulos didn't hold back, went for it. Pretty committed to jumping all over that return.
That's just a preview of the backhand I'm sure we'll see today. He was a little behind that one. I think you're right. The serve had just a little extra kick on it. Didn't quite catch up to it.
Out.
And he's probably not played. Yeah, he's probably not played Bostrom that many times. And Bostrom is one of the best servers in the men's game. How he can just put that spin on the ball, Anthony.
I have a feeling he will be catching up to that backhand serve at some point, the backhand return on that serve within a game or two.
Well, one of the things about the Bostrom serve, Anthony, that I've seen over the years is that he can move it around. He throws the toss up and he can kind of change the direction, hit the balls with different kind of spins, off almost an identical look to his serve, which is intriguing to me.
Deuce.
The most patient point we've seen so far, and I'm trying to figure out here if there's any real strategy, any places that Granger and Lampropoulos want to lob specifically. Nothing's jumping out at me right now. I think they're still feeling them out to see if there's a better place to hit the lob down the line in the middle that will give Lampropoulos a little bit better jump. I can already see he likes to jump that line and look for the forehand.
Bostroms and Rams know that Granger and Lampropoulos are here to stay. Like, they're not going anywhere. And these guys are hitting a million overheads. And these guys, you know, aren't really taking any chances when we've seen some heavy spin coming. You know, we see some good camera angles we saw Granger a little while ago get down really low, firm up his grip, just block the ball back, really negate the effects of the spin. And you know, I would just expect them to do this all day long. And this favors Granger Lampropoulos.
Yeah, that was going to be my question, Patty. How long could someone like Philip and Rams and Bostrom stay patient in these moments? We know some other players, the Johan Durants of the world, will lose patience and try to force the play. So this, I think, will definitely work into Granger and Lampropoulos' favor, unless they figure out something else that will trigger a speed up of the play.
Anthony, what was your strategy? You're a great player in the sport. Did you like to go out with a plan, or sort of?
That's
you knew most of the guys you played against.
We're tied.
It's an interesting question, and I was actually thinking about that before this match started, about my strategy in general. And I was actually going to ask you the same question, like how much of a strategy do you need? I know for sure in my game, I would wait on a strategy many times, and sometimes to my fault. I would wait on a strategy until I saw something that I really liked. I wouldn't necessarily go out with a strategy. Certain teams you could figure out an easier strategy going right out, but I would kind of reserve judgment a little bit. I feel like now most teams, when I speak with them, they have a pretty strict strategy going into every match. And I think sometimes that can play against you if it doesn't run the way you think it will when you figured out your strategy.
Yeah, that's a good point, Anthony. I think with, live streaming, the benefit of all these players getting on the live stream is that they can, they can look at the matchups. And, when you play a match, Anthony, and how you remember things isn't always exactly accurate.
Yes.
And where the live stream is 100% accurate. And so these players get to learn, the tendencies of players. They might look at the draw and say, we get to the quarters, we got Boston Rams. Maybe they'll familiarize themselves with, the weapons that these, Boston Rams possess if they're not super familiar with them themselves. I always think if you know your opponent, you start out with your plan playing to your strengths as a team, to my strengths as a baseline team and to my strengths as a net team.
Game.
We know what
Rams. They lead the first set, 2-1.
We know what sides, how we might favor playing. Anthony, you're a lefty. I know when I got to play mixed with you, we had to switch to get our forehand overheads in the middle, where there were some basic tactics that we would just automatically use kind of at the beginning of any match. And then I think there's so much, the nuances involved in this game and just recognizing what your opponents are giving you and how it will change throughout the course of a match. Which one of your opponents is feeling it. Sometimes you can feel someone shrinking on the other side of the net, and you're going to go after them at that point.
Absolutely, and that's the key, to see how it develops throughout the match, right? Things that you started thinking about can change, and as momentum changes, sometimes your strategy has to change with it.
Sun's out in Philly. It's a cold day today in Philly, and we had some long matches, a lot of the play today, Anthony, in those 16s. Took 3 sets for everybody, or just long 2-set matches.
That's why we're starting a little bit late for a 2:30 start. We have a little bit, about a half hour after the proposed start time, but for that reason exactly. And I know you say it's cold out there, but Martin's already got a good sweat going at 2-1, and he's in short sleeves. Looks like it's overcast, good paddle weather. After a slow first game for Bostrom and Rams, they, I think, have decided they will try to play a little bit slower pace, and they took the next 2 games. Granger going for an aggressive drop shot at the end of that last game. Didn't quite get over the net.
Love 15.
Yeah, you can just see the effortless net play with Bostrom and Rams, Anthony. They're just so smooth up there. They cover so much court. And it's just going to be a waiting game here, where I think Granger and Lampropoulos ultimately, may go away from what they're most comfortable doing and have to take some chances here. Because I just don't think that, Bostrom and Rams are going to miss too many volleys in this entire match.
Good. It's good.
That's a great dig. We're seeing a lot of different overheads, like you said, Patty, coming from Bostrom and Rams. Just wide.
Love 30.
Doesn't look like they've decided if they're going to pick on anyone specific. They're hitting overheads with spin to both corners.
It's a great shot of Philip Rams' serve.
Love 40.
He's got the sidearm motion. It's interesting, Anthony, how he goes back to, he went sidearm overhand. Well, you don't see that as much as we did a couple years ago when the sidearm serves came into play. You see a lot of players go through an entire match just serving sidearm.
Same way.
Game, we're tied at 2.
2-2.
That was
Rams.
that was a great little move from Lampropoulos right there. Little move, like he's got that quickness. And he had a real compact backswing there and just pulled the trigger quickly and forced the volley error against a team who just are phenomenal volleyers.
Rams caught
Love 15.
Lambropoulos with on a fly, little flush shot there, short ball.
Graham McNerney says we should say Philippe Rams.
Philippe.
So if Graham says we should call him Philippe, we shall.
Yep, please. 8. I got you.
So is it true, though, Patty, as we're talking about names, that even Lambropoulos' best friends don't like to say his full name, and sometimes they will refer to him as Lambo?
Lambo, that's what I hear from Chicagoland.
All right, so
Mike Raleigh
maybe we'll use
laughed when I asked him about it, and Mike Raleigh said, he goes, I don't even know if everybody knows what his last name is. They just call him Lambo.
Yes, my name's not that hard to say, Casamano, but I always went by Kaz, so I'm all for shortening the names.
Totally. Kazi.
Kazi.
I got it.
Take it.
You know, sometimes it's easy. You get a Graham. There's only one way to say Graham.
Yep. Go! Damn it.
They were hoping Rams would step
30.
back on that one, but he read that ball well, closed in on the net.
I like the little overhead cutter, you know. It was defended, but
Changes the dynamic.
it did give
Sure.
Yep, and it opens up the court. You've got to make, you know, your Rams and Bostrom, you got to make Lambropoulos and Granger cover more court. Start opening it up. You know, bringing him in on a short ball, blasting some really hard overheads, possibly. You know, kind of almost egging him into driving the ball, like you saw right there.
Absolutely. Grinders, people that like to play long points, like to play comfortable long points. And you're absolutely right. A drop shot that might not be a point ender, just to move them around the court a little bit more aggressively, that will work into the favor of Bostrom and Rams for sure. And you can see they've already decided, a little different than they started with in the first game or two, that they are creating a little bit more up and back for Granger and Lambo.
You know, sometimes I just feel like when the favored team is in these matches and they're up against Grinders, you know, they will feed them and they'll bait them. They'll try to rope them in to going a little bit out of their comfort zone early in the point to pull the trigger.
Game, Bostrom Rams. They lead the first set, 3-2.
Anthony, for over 20 years, Paddle Pro has been recognized as an industry leader in platform tennis. The knowledge, expert advice, fast inventory, and ultimate customer service will help any player find the perfect equipment to take your game to the next level. Paddle Pro is the only website to carry all platform tennis brands. For more information, go to www.paddlepro.com.
So, Patty, what do you like so far and what don't you like? I think we have seen a little bit of a change from the first couple of games with Bostrom and Rams playing a little bit faster and trying to dictate play. It didn't work quite well. They've slowed it down, and now I think you're right. They're baiting them into creating a little bit more movement on that side now that seems to be working a little bit more in their favor.
And baiting them, I think, you know, kind of giving them some decent looks on their forehands, knowing that they'll pull the trigger and drive, you know, knowing that they are really confident. You can just see their wall of backhand volleys they have up at the net. So they can either hit 150 overheads to well-placed spots, forcing another lob, or they'll go against conventional wisdom and just kind of put some overheads, hang them out to dry a little bit, you know, and they'll see whose drive they like more. Do they want to volley Granger's back, or do they want to volley Lampropoulos'? And that's the one that I think we'll see him kind of reel in and bait a little bit.
Yes. I am noticing that Bostrom and Rams, maybe because they haven't played together all that much, aren't completely settled with who should be taking that overhead. The person, you know, they're going back and forth. To me, it looks like they're leaving some openings there. We'll see if Granger and Lambo can take advantage of that, because it does look like they're presenting some openings.
Yeah, and to that point, Anthony, you know, when Rams played for the last 2 years primarily with Mike Wagner, Rams always finds himself, you know, as the player to the left at the net, handling 80 to 90% of the overhead. So then to be paired with a Bostrom, who also loves being in that role of handling a lot of overheads, it's an adjustment in itself just for Rams to be playing, you know, the right side of the two players at the net on the far side. We've got other quarterfinals going on. We've got Burris and Adoya up 5-1 first set over Green and Quintana.
Oh, great lob, great drive down the line there. Snuck it behind Rams. They took control of the net.
If anybody wants to join the live chat and ask some questions, any questions, most questions, as long as they're appropriate to be answered over the air, fire away. If we can't answer them, we'll get Graham McNerney to answer them.
That's right.
And we'll see if, you know, Granger brings a little bit, you know, if he starts looking for his forehand a little bit more, Anthony. He's tennis player at University of Illinois. Lambo played University of Kentucky. These guys have serious tennis skills, serious racket skills.
Sure. Little confusion. Ball came in from the other court. They can't figure out which is which.
I think Graham McNerney threw that in.
I thought I saw John Lubow.
Anthony, if you were playing long grinding points, did you prefer to be the team at the baseline, or did you prefer to be the team at the net?
I prefer long grinding points when I was in the backcourt. I tended to get frustrated and bored playing long points at the nets. Sometimes you start feeling like you're just kind of waiting around. And I don't have a lot of spin on the ball, so maybe that's one of the reasons for me. But sometimes you get into that zone on a long point where you just feel like you're waiting for a lead court winner to come from the other side.
Yep, good. Yep.
I think that's one of the biggest changes in the game over the past many years, is the ability for a lot of these players to end points on a short overhead or even a deeper overhead with a lot of this slice like we just saw from Rams. Some really big cut shots, some really big spins. So if you can end a point more definitively at the net, go for it.
Anthony, does it require more energy to play long points from the net, or more energy to play long points from the baseline?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say more energy at the net, especially with all these, you know, there's bigger swings, you're coming back and forth. But you do know the way some people play in that backcourt, they expend a lot of energy as well. You know, like the Osas Koenigs and the Humphreys, those guys, they're using a lot of energy, looking for shots, moving around back and forth.
Game, Bostrom Rams. They lead the first set, 4-2.
In other quarterfinal action, Burris and Erdoya have taken the first set in their quarterfinal match against Green and Quintana.
Yep. Serve here. I'm here.
That's Philippe Rams at his best. That's what he loves to do, create that movement, blitz. Very Graham McNerney-like, if he's listening to us still. Just waiting for that opportunity to just keep creeping into the net to keep pressure on the backcourt player. Looking for that volley to finish that volley off.
Yep, and when Rams exploded onto the scene last year, he had that canny ability. You talked about McNerney. I think of McNerney, but I think as the greatest of all time, Duran, and just his ability and his movement, racket skills. And Rams brings that to the table. He's that good. And I think if he forces that action and it's like a hand exchange, I think Granger and Lampropoulos are in trouble. I think Granger against Rams, he lost that fight there, and I could see that happening over and over. I think Granger's strength is a little bit more from the baseline, from what I've seen, than versus like the hands plays at the net so far.
I'm here.
Yeah, so I think we'll continue to see Rams. We'll continue to see Rams just creeping up like that. He did it on the beginning of at the beginning of this point as well. Patty, what's your opinion on blocking those overheads? I can see that Granger doesn't let the ball get to the screen all that much, and I know there's an argument to be made that it takes some time away. I don't know. What do you think? I think I see more players doing that now as well.
I think it just depends on the power and the spin coming off the overhead. It's so different for every player out there in the game. When they block to take time away,
30-all.
like I feel like with Granger a little bit, he's got such a wingspan, and he can just stick his paddle out, and I think he just blocks it because maybe that also can be a way for him to save some energy versus chasing that ball up that side screen. I don't know, and I've seen him play a couple of times, Anthony, and sometimes if you can block it, then you don't have to chase it.
Yeah, sure. And that's what we were just talking about. Rams very aggressive, just creeping in, looking for that volley, and they're going to win points that way for sure. One of the quickest ways for them to win points.
Yep, I think Granger and Lampropoulos are going to have to recognize that earlier and realize when to let the ball go through and not engage, in the quick back and forth. It's just like Durant. Most people lose those matchups. So I think you have to accurately kind of understand how your hands match up to your opponents and recognize when you're better off than letting the ball just go right through, hit the back screen, and play it from there. That was a great tag from Granger. Made a big move over in that ad court.
Great ball down the line. Made Rams flip his paddle over to the forehand side. Lost some time there.
Kind of like the switch from Granger Lampropoulos, just a little bit. I never mind that, Anthony. I always think that gets the other guys thinking about a couple more things.
Even if just for a minute, right? You just get them to think, oh, should I be hitting it in the same exact spot? And that moment of indecision can open up a different opportunity.
As is always the case, you know, you're going to get some good looks off the screens if you're Granger Lampropoulos with a little better lobbing or a little better spot lobbing. Lampropoulos is hitting a lot back cross court right now. Great cover.
Oh, just wide. And as tall as Granger
Anthony,
is, he didn't get up high enough for that one.
Yeah, you know, Bostrom and Rams are hitting a lot of overheads into Lampropoulos' ad court corner, and he's playing them beautifully, never missing a screen, but not moving the ball around quite enough as I think he's going to have to break them down consistently at the net.
Good. Good.
I was just about to comment there. Bostrom and Rams are relentless over there right now. Almost every ball they're hitting is with purpose and setting up almost immediately another offensive opportunity, which is going to wear on Granger and Lambo if they can't get into a consistent place to put that ball somewhere more safe.
Anthony, Mike Riley is chiming in on the stream, and he likes it when he sees that switch out of Lambo and Granger a little bit from the baseline. You know, what that does is Lampropoulos has this amazing two-handed backhand that he can't really pull the trigger on out of that ad court against the overheads.
The first set, 4-3.
Against the overheads that Rams and Bostrom are hitting to them, Anthony. So if he were to be in that deuce court, he might get some looks on it. I'm not sure, but you never know, and that's why it's always worth trying.
Yeah, you're right. And when that's your favorite shot and that's what you're looking for, and you don't get the opportunity to hit it, it's time for a different look. And sometimes you start making bad decisions that way as well. And you're right. I think we would have normally seen a lot more of his backhand out of there if they were playing a different team. Switching the ball at 7 games.
Yep. Another thing Coach Riley would love to see is a little bit more lobbing up the line. You know, that up the line can force the play back cross court and can give your partner some looks. Anna Zabori agrees with that. She's enjoying the action. Anna and Flor Hamish reached the finals yesterday. Went out in 2 sets to Medeiros and Kiro, who had a great win in the women's finals last night, and we'll see our defending national champs, 2-time Hannah Zabori in 2 weeks at Chicago. Sure, looking to get their games in order so they can peak in 2 weekends.
Help me.
Of 30.
Anthony, what's an intriguing matchup on the top half of the draw, the top quarter in this event, has our second seeds, Humphreys, Otis Conning. They're up against their good buddies, Dennis and Friedrich. And, you know, Friedrich and Dennis are up 3-2 in that set. And they practice with Humphreys and Otis Conning all the time. And they're really comfortable playing against them. And that matchup, potential matchup, was one that made Chris Humphreys a little nervous when we were talking about it yesterday. He knew they would bring it.
That's it's always an interesting dynamic when you play the players a lot. So there's obviously a lot of comfort. You know what's coming at you. You see a lot of the same shots over and over again when you play the same teams and practice together. Sometimes, yeah, might not necessarily be in Humphreys' Otis Koenig advantage.
Well, I think whenever you have these matchups and you have a lower ranked team coming up against a higher seed, you know, it comes down to the belief, Anthony, if they really feel like they can win that match. And, you know, the quarters here, everybody believes they're in these quarters to win them. You know, I love that teams don't back down.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, these both Granger and Lampropoulos have played high-level tennis. Mentally, I'm sure they're as strong as it gets. They believe they can win out there. Most of the top teams, that's how you have to approach these. You believe you can win. And sometimes you're right, the pressure ends up a little bit more on the seeded team because they feel like they, quote unquote, should win. Sometimes it puts a little bit more pressure on them, and the lower seed can swing a little more freely.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about with Lampropoulos. With his lobbing, I think he has an opportunity here to dictate play a little bit by throwing that ball up the line, trying to get Bostrom a little deep. And actually, Anthony, I also think he could actually just throw an off-speed ball off a drive out of that ad-court corner, because Rams is just assuming he's going to throw up another lob and has already dropped back to the tee.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. I think he's starting to think. He's trying to figure out what to do over there. I think maybe you're in his ear a little bit there, Patty, because he's trying to change a little bit of the dynamic there and maybe driving a little bit more, but he's not comfortable just lobbing the way he is right now.
Well, again, and his strategy has to be, how am I building points and bringing Granger into this match here when they're just pounding? And right there, Martin's overhead, Bostrom overhead, not his finest. And, you know, just caught Rams off guard. And I think Bostrom just kind of got a little bored right there, Anthony, and just, you know, fed that ball there. You know, probably not the right time in this first set to do that.
Add in.
There's a little bit of that confusion on the overhead, and it set up a good swing for Granger, but he just missed it a little bit long.
Great shot from the historic Manufacturers Club outside Philadelphia. Got their club charter, 1887. Outstanding facilities, supportive membership. Kudos to tournament director Scott Palatek. All his work to bring high-level APTA and pro flight events to Manufacturers Club.
not in.
Nicely played point. I think Lampropoulos had his mojo working a little bit there. He started creating a little bit of motion on those lobs. Presented an opening, had a good leg court. So he's clearly thinking of strategy there, and there's that lob down the line that Mike Raleigh asked about.
Lots of questions about the serving on the live chat. Graham McNerney's doing a great job answering all the questions, Anthony. You know, and definitely the case where you see some players who prefer a sidearm serve into one side versus the other side. And again, it depends who's hitting the return to serve and what their strength is, what kind of ball striker they are. Are they a high ball hitter, which most of these guys are? They have the semi-Western, Western grips. They can just tag those high bouncing balls. Thus, you know, hitting the sidearm, getting a little bit of a lower bounce, a little different spin of ball coming into the returner.
Yeah, and we touched on that a little bit earlier. I think Rams likes the way his serve grabs onto the side screen to the backhand side. So I think that's a much better serve for him. He feels like it's more advantageous. And on the deuce side of the court, he keeps it lower. That's why he switches back and forth. So we'll see him try to get to that side screen with this serve right now. He lines up all the way wide.
Game.
And it has a nice kick to it, as we saw right there, and it's hard to catch up
First set,
to.
5-3.
You can just see how rock solid, you know, fundamentally Bostrom and Rams are here in this match, Anthony. You know, the first couple of games, I felt like they had a couple of loosey-goosey errors, you know, kind of inconsistent, couple of early return to serves, but they're certainly coming into their own stride here, and I feel like they're super comfortable. In fact, Rams was so comfortable, he tried a lob off of bounds, which I see once or twice a year, probably for a reason.
30 low.
And that's exactly why. It's because he is so comfortable, and they both look very comfortable right now. They do not look stressed out at all. They're hitting such a variety of shots. They feel like they can do whatever they want. So far, it's Granger and Lampropoulos haven't been able to find anything specific weakness on that side yet, so they're still looking for it.
Well, Anthony, I could help with the search. There are none. You know, that's the problem with these top guys. You know, they're just never going to miss a basic shot. You know, you can hear Bostrom commenting, you know, he didn't have to lob and make it that good. But I just feel like the balance of this match is in Rams and Wagner hands. I feel like they just have a little bit of that explosiveness at times that, you know, we just haven't seen yet from Lambo and
Granger Lampropoulos. Bostrom Rams lead in the first set, 5-4.
Even with that comfort level, though, it's still a 5-4 match. Anything can happen here. I've seen Rams have bouts of inconsistencies from time to time. We've seen it. So he was missed a couple shots in that game that were a little bit, like you said, maybe a little bit too comfortable. We'll see if he can bring it back in for this next game.
I love them as a team. They have so much upside, so interesting with everything they bring to the table, all their shot making. That's why I'll be fascinated to see how, you know, if they can get through this match and how well they can do if they do get through this. You know, can they have a legitimate shot? Do they have a legitimate shot to win this event? I think they do.
Oh, for sure to win this event. Do we know if they're pairing up for the Nationals?
I believe they are.
Rams and Wagner. Oh, they are. Okay.
They are.
All right.
And I think that's why there's, you know, partner change. Rams and Wagner, They had a great run. I have so much regard for Mike Wagner. What a phenomenal class act player from Pittsburgh. And I just think, the difference is the upside for Rams to play with a Bostrom is Bostrom is a couple-time national champion, husband-wife, mixed nats. He's always in the argument about, which of the top guys has yet to win a national title in men's play, and Bostrom's at pretty much the top of everybody's list.
30 love.
For sure. It's definitely not a reflection on Wagner at all to be Bostrom for sure.
No, I'm president of the Wagner fan club. I think he's freaking awesome.
Me too. I'm in that fan club as well. I love his game.
Love.
And a lot of movement from Granger. Here comes Bostrom, and you just know it's coming, and he's just got to hold his paddle still right there and get low, which is hard to do. He's a tall dude, Anthony.
Bostrom Rams, they win the first set, 6-4.
We will be right back in just a moment after these messages right here from the APTA YouTube channel presented by eNet Live.
Boys, any water? You guys need water? I take a bottle of water if you got it.
High performance never tasted this good. Chocolate, berries, cinnamon, agave. Fuel your car, then fuel your body with Remedy Plus.
Welcome back to the APTA Tour presented by Remedy Plus. We are in the quarterfinal match between the third seed, Martin Bostrom and Philip Rams, versus Mitch Granger and Alex Lambropoulos. Both Bostrom and Rams won the first set 6-4. Just about to start the second.
Yeah, we're at the 52-minute mark in this match. Anthony, what kind of a predictable first set. Each team kind of, not really wanting to miss. Like you can see, as the game changes and you see the power game come in and the explosiveness, it's always well balanced with not missing too much. And, for Granger and Lambropoulos, I kind of feel like they're going to have to tweak their strategy slightly here. We talked about maybe switching a little bit on the baseline. I'd like to see Granger also sneak into the court a little bit when Lambropoulos is playing his lobs out of that corner and he does get that ball up the line. Maybe if Granger could just, be a step or two in from the baseline, where he might be able to tag a couple of these overheads and just get a real good look and get into a comfort zone where we can see his explosiveness.
Love 15.
Big swing from Rams to start off the second set. And I think you're right. He's crept in a few times. I've been watching him to see if he's changed his spot, and he's shown that once or twice, but it doesn't look like he's committed to making that decision yet. But I think you're right. I think they have to start putting a little bit more pressure on. We talked earlier, Patty, about what the strategy is. I don't see a strong strategy of any kind on their side. I think they're still. We said a little bit maybe start lobbing down the line a little bit more, maybe start creeping up. But I haven't seen anything really change yet. And I think you're right. They're going to have to change a little bit coming into the second set. But they're still right there with 6-4.
40-15.
The Rams tagged 2 returns in this game so far on the Granger serve, Anthony. And Granger missed the first one on the first volley. And I look to see how his first volley is, because that Rams return out of that juice court is incredible. See, Granger sneaking to the middle. I'd like to see him sneak in front of the baseline a little bit. And who cares if Rams and you know, Bostrom overhit their overhead, and Granger has to chase it up the side screen. No big deal. Anthony, are you ready? Can I put you on the spot?
Sure.
Someone's asking me, if Anthony were to pick one of these guys to be his perfect partner, to balance out the skills you bring to the table, which are remarkable, which guy would you pick?
Oh, that's a trick question. I mean, I love Martin
Wagner. Pick Mike Wagner, so he's off the table.
I mean,
and you only can pick one of these 4 guys.
I'd love to play with Martin Bostrom, but honestly, as I watch this, I love the way Lambropoulos plays, and I think he would complement me well if I had to be on that, because I'm a forehand player, and I like the way he moves, and I think if we were on the court together, back a little bit maybe closer to my prime, that would be a good dynamic. I love that he looks for that backhand. He moves around a lot. He doesn't make any mistakes over there. I tend to make more mistakes than my partner. So. Great volley. Great volley by Rams.
We have a semi-finalist, Anthony. Burris and Ardoya got through their quarterfinal match, and they will await the winner of Araya West, Broderick Christian, which should be done sometime before 10 p.m. tonight, I think, Anthony. What do you think?
All right. Yeah, I think we have some time on that one.
Humphreys, Osis-Koning are up 5-4 in their first set of their quarterfinal match with Dennis and Friedrich. Anthony, I was thinking you might pick one of the tall guys on the far side as your partner just because of their variety and their overheads.
No, I don't like the pictures after the match when I play with tall guys. That's my biggest problem.
That's a great one. No wonder you played with me.
That's right. I play with you. I play with Steve Haller. We all look the same. We all look like we're 6 foot tall when we're all just about the same size, right?
You're absolutely right.
Good serve to close out that first game.
Granger, Lambropoulos. They lead the second set, 1-0. Bostrom Rams won the first set.
I think Granger had it in his mind, starting the second set, that he was going to be a little bit more aggressive. I saw him driving more off the back screen, and he went after that serve for sure.
So, Anthony, big week for paddle. We got the Bourbon Ball going on. We had PTI women's 55s and 70s held this week down in Philly. We've got Junior Nationals next week. We've got Open Nationals in Chicago in 2 weeks. We've got Team Nationals the first weekend in April. We've got the Baird Fulton Cup at Nationals. I mean, the APTA has done a phenomenal job bringing all levels of the play into the sport and giving everyone an opportunity to compete for a national title with a partner and a national title as part of a team.
Yeah, the PTI Nationals has been a great addition. For just that reason, you can still end up, you end up a winner in a draw that you may not have had an opportunity to do if you're playing in the Grand Prix. Tell me a little bit, Patty, about the Baird Fulton Cup. It takes place at the Nationals, right? And what are the qualifications?
I believe anybody who qualifies for Open Nats or is playing in the Open PTI Nats can have an opportunity to get on the teams and play the Baird Cup for men. And the Fulton Cup for the women. Fulton Cup named after Hall of Famer Robin Fulton, and Baird Cup after Hall of Famer Steve Baird.
Okay.
We'll be live streaming from Chicago, Anthony. I think you and I might be jumping on off a flight at O'Hare and racing to maybe help with some streaming at the end of the Baird and Fulton Cups on Thursday before Nationals.
I can't wait. I was hoping to be back from my injury to sneak into the Nationals, but this is going to be just as fun. Maybe.
Well, we're sorry you're not going to be in there as a player, Anthony, but we love having you in the booth, and your insights and your wonderful approach to the sport and appreciation and respect for all these players, you know, is really, really very cool for all those, everyone listening to you at home, watching the stream.
No, thank you, Patty.
I like the look from Lampropoulos, just like short hopping that ball, Anthony, with his two-handed backhand, real consolidated motion, just to kind of force the play a little bit, just give Bostrom Rams just a little different look, little different timing.
And that's one of the reasons I said I would like to play with him. He does like to jump that line. I love that motion. I love that look. You know, it's very hard to win points against the good players when you play predictably all of the time, right? You need to shake something up. You need to create a little bit of uncertainty on the other side, and jumping that line is one of the few ways you can do that. So I think I'd like to see more of that out of him, honestly. I'd like to see him, you know, he's sitting comfortably back there in that corner. It doesn't look like he's even looking to open up some of those shots. So I think maybe putting a little bit more pressure on Bostrom and Rams just by his positioning on the court, I think would help.
Well, we've seen so many shots. Granger has blocked lob with that real short little stroke. And I just would like Lampropoulos to do a couple of those with his backhand, because he's got that, you know, he can hit it two or one-handed, but he's got that little block, you know, little shot that he could hit, and he controls beautifully.
Game, Bostrom Rams. We're tied.
I would
in
love
the
to
second
see him
set.
use.
One game apiece.
I almost feel like there's too much pressure on Granger's game right now. It looks like he's trying to be a little bit too creative because Lampropoulos is really not getting enough looks over there, or not creating enough looks for himself in that corner, and it's forcing Granger to make some, you know, maybe shots that he probably could wait a little bit longer, or be in a better position to make an offensive shot.
And Anthony, speaking of team nationals, remarkably, in a very short period of time, the women's team nationals has sold out. 50 teams have already secured their spots, and now there's a wait list. So if women's teams still want to sign up, they can go and jump on a wait list and hope somehow they get lucky and a team, you know, bails on it. But there's still plenty of room for men's action, which will be out in Chicago, hosted by Mike Raleigh at the amazing Export Club.
And that's the shot I like. That's what I like to see from Lampropoulos over there. He created a little bit of motion over there. He had a great drive. Unfortunate end to that point, but that's what we're going to need to see. I don't think we can just rely on Granger to make all of the shot making in this set.
Help me.
See, Rams is pretty far back there, you know, hitting those lobs from Lambo right there again. And that's what I want to see Granger. I want him to take, you know, take a little earlier look and smack that ball a little sooner than he normally would. I think he can do that, and I think that would put tremendous pressure on Rams and Bostrom.
15-40. 30-40. Deuce.
Fighting back. This is a good game for them if they can fight back and win it to get up 2-1. Down 40-15 to start.
Good.
Add in.
That's a huge hold.
Game. Granger, Lambropoulos. They lead the second set, 2-1. Bostrom Rams won the first set.
You know, Anthony, when you see a player like Bostrom, who's had success with so many different players, he's teamed up with Thomas Nolan, he's teamed up with everybody. Everybody's teamed up with Graham McNerney. I'm sure they've played. Bostrom played for years with Sebi Bredberg. Sebi's out at in California now, in Lagunitas. We miss Sebi, and a shout out to him. But it's just interesting with Bostrom. You know, from the baseline, he is the one who's likely to pull the trigger versus going into a holding pattern and just putting up a lot of shots. He's just such a ball striker. And you get a great shot of the golf course here at Manufacturers. And if Martin Bostrom were to take out a driver, I think he'd hit it clearly all the way to downtown Philadelphia. That's how explosive he is.
Yeah, it's in his DNA.
15 love.
And he wouldn't be able to play any other way. He would be bored playing any other way. But it also plays to his strength.
Shout out to Carol Everton, one of APTA umpires. Carol does a great job and is chiming in. Mike Ahimsky, Greg Robertson. How about the job all these umpires do, Anthony? They don't get much credit. They get a little bit of grief when they're up there, but the APTA couldn't do without them.
It's one of those thankless jobs, but they're doing a fantastic job. So thank you for thanking them because they don't get much recognition.
$40-15.
Let's go here. Yeah. Here.
Lambropoulos just looks a little flat-footed over there. I don't know if he's frustrated because he's not getting enough looks, or a few times I've watched him play, it looks like he's was moving a lot more, looking for more opportunities. It might just be a factor of the great overheads that Bostrom and Rams are hitting. Plain and simple.
Anthony, when we played all the time, how much fun was it to go to Philadelphia? We had, you know, so many players from the Philadelphia area who just loved paddle, showed their love for growing the game, led by the one and only Tim McAvoy, Hall of Famer, former APTA president. And Tim's boosting his immunity system. It must have felt great today because he was out there
Rams.
catching the action.
It's 2 games apiece in the second set.
Philly holds a lot of history for me as well. Obviously, Scott Falatek, who's at this club here, and his partner that he played with many years. Yes, the Tim McAvoys, the Cindy Prendergast, and Zinks. The Zinks are out there.
30 Love.
If you remember Greg Stippa.
Here? Yeah. I'm here. Yeah.
Yeah, just over decades, you know, they've just done an amazing job as they've, you know, the sport has grown around Philly paddle and their willingness to run 1 million events. They have a great kids program run out of Waynesboro Country Club. Annie O'Shea headed that up for years. I think she still does it. But Tim is one of our sports great guys, and we hope to get him in the announcement booth again this year, maybe at Nationals, but I'm not sure. Definitely next year, Anthony.
40-15.
Yeah, just that overhead just destroyed Granger over there in that ad court.
Yeah. And that's maybe, I guess that's what I'm saying, is Bostrom is hitting, his overheads are just, they're not coming out. They're all just hitting low in that corner, and they're not coming up enough to get really good offensive lobs out of that corner, so.
Game, Granger, Lambropoulos. They lead the second set, 3-2. Bostrom Rams won the first set.
Anthony, Fusion's a proud sponsor of the APTA. Fusion curates what's next in branded gear and apparel for your company, your team, or your event. With a team of dedicated industry experts, including Dana Parsons, Fusion curates high-end product selections for customization with your club logo, team name, or corporate identity. Fusion creates a stress-free shopping experience with custom online stores and quick custom ordering to get the gear you need now without any hassle. Visit www.gearbyfusion.com and let Fusion provide you with the gear to fuel your game.
14, yeah.
It should have been the last one, right? Because you guys should have started with a new one.
Yeah, so it's 15 right now, so we
Yeah.
should probably wait for you guys to start with the new one so it's even. Got it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we'll hold off on one. Thanks.
No, you're right.
The sportsman, sportsman Philip Rams, of course, they should have switched balls if they were going on every 7 in the last game. So instead of switching now and giving potentially an advantage to Rams and Bostrom, they're going to wait for the next game.
Totally cool class act for Bostrom and Rams to do that right there.
Right.
I was thinking about it for a long time.
15 love.
And you see how low Granger goes over and over to block that ball, you know, headed to the back screen, really low, and it just is a standout because he's such a tall guy, and I just can't imagine that's not an easier ball to do something with, where he could dictate play off of the screens rather than blocking back a short ball. He did a pretty good job right there dictating off the screens.
Yes.
And Anthony, quick shout out to Mikey Himsky, whose crew of umpires here, led by Derek Yost, are doing a phenomenal job throughout the, you know, this 3-day event here at Manufacturers Club.
$30-15.
And that's that overhead into that corner.
40-15.
That was a serve, but they're doing such a good job of keeping that ball low off the side screen. And Lambo is struggling with that. It feels like he's a little bit in his own head there.
That's why, you know, when you think about like picking an ideal partner, I love these partners who, when they're at the net, they can just end points and create openings with the huge variety of grips and spins that you see right now from Bostrom, hitting a lot of the overheads, controlling play from the left side of the court at the net.
Second set, 3 games apiece. There you go, guys. Hey, Alex.
And they will switch balls.
Shout out to Damian Johnson, who does a huge amount behind the scenes for the APTA. And Anthony, he asked a question. Who suggested new balls favors the returner? What do you say? Does it favor the returner or the server?
Oh, I honestly, I don't think it favors either. If I had to choose, I just think that when you switch every 7 games, it's supposed to be that person serving with the new ball. So I think that was the bigger part of the sportsmanship in that. I don't think I have an opinion either way if it favors anyone. In tennis, they say it favors the server. As, the felt is wrapped tighter and all of that, but I don't think that holds true in paddle tennis. Do you disagree?
I don't know. I feel like sometimes on a warm day, a little warmer, you get that firm new ball, and I like serving with it.
You like serving with it?
Sure.
15-all.
I think maybe if I had to say, there would be a slight disadvantage for the returner, because that first, if you're going to drive that first ball, it is different. It's a little bit firmer on that, when it comes into play. So that return, that first swing at a drive might not be exactly how you expect it. So if I had a lean, I would say it would favor the server just a bit for that reason.
Humphreys Osis Koenig are in a brawl first set tiebreaker with Dennis and Friedrich.
30-all.
Martin's kicking himself. The court was wide open, and it was right to comfortable backhand. He just hit it a little wide, a little long.
Humphreys and Osis Koenig pulled out the first set, 7-6, in their first set quarterfinal match with Dennis and Friedrich.
Just like you said, Patty, teams that play each other a lot, they're very comfortable. Great first set.
Carrie Delmonico chimed in. She thinks on a hot day it favors the returner. My point is, on a hot day when that ball sort of has enlarged slightly and doesn't have as much oomph to it when you pack a punch, I love going to the new ball because I feel like you can get a lot more out of it. For me, it was not super strong. I always felt like I could get some more pace out of that new ball.
Granger's been relying on that back screen drive, I think a little too much. He had a few good results catching them off guard, but like I said, I don't think that's going to win this match. I think we have to get Lampropoulos a little bit more involved in his offense over there. They haven't figured out quite a good strategy to get him some more looks.
Yeah.
That was great footwork from Granger right there.
It was. And that's the shot he needs to hit off the back screen, that one that comes out and he gets to stretch that long arm out and move forward with it. That one he should be hitting all day, and he's had success with that one. It's that shorter one off the back screen I think he needs to lay off of a little bit.
Yeah, he's just not getting that many looks, and that's probably why he forced it on the lap
Yes.
a couple points
Yes.
ago.
Add in.
I'm here.
Serve was
Right
just
before he hit
deep.
that. Yeah, I was thinking this is a huge serve for Lombropoulos.
I know, me too. I know. And I was thinking to myself, Patty, as we're, you know, and I don't feel like we're being lopsided in the commentary here, but you know, we're trying to look for ways for Granger and Lambropoulos to be successful, and it's still 3-all, and it was add in, right? Now it's add out. We'll see if they can hold on to this one, but they're in this match for sure.
A little movement
Even
from
with,
Granger there, trying to offset that Rams return to serve from the deuce court. That's, you know, breaking down a little bit of the volleying of Lambropoulos. Granger in this match.
That ball was deep. Certainly a big game if they can come through this up 4-3. So Patty, you have your luck here. We have Granger in the back on the backhand side. Let's see if they'll. Well,
Add out.
that's that back screen drive that I think is just it's not coming out enough for his liking.
Well, Granger's a huge guy. You know, he's big, and I mentioned his footwork on that other shot, Anthony, because I think when you got to move those size 14 feet around, like, you've got to really work hard to get yourself the good looks. And you know, when he gets a little bit caught, the ball gets a little too close to that long body of his, sometimes that's where, you know, he'll make a miss. He'll miss a shot.
Yes. A little bad luck there, but brings it back to deuce. Martin hit a let cord, skipped long.
Again, showing Australian just taking away the cross-court return from Rams, and Rams just took the
I
ball
like
up
that
the
look.
line. And you can see Rams and Bostrom just, you know, refused to go up and take the net in transition, just stayed back, gave the net back to Lambropoulos and Granger.
Good.
Grip change from Granger there on the overhead. I'd like to see a little bit more of his grip changes than I see, because I do think he has that high contact point, Anthony, on the overheads, and I'd love to see him let a few more drop a little lower and bring in some different spins.
Very well played game. Big hold. 4-3 on the change.
Granger, Lambropoulos, they lead in the second set, 4-3. Bostrom Rams won the first set.
And they've gotten Bostrom to pull the trigger on a couple of shots where, you know, Bostrom's a little frustrated there. He knew he had, you know, pretty good shot for him, and he didn't put the ball in play.
Yeah, Martin missed a few shots, I think, that's why he hit the net there. Not only did he miss that last one, but earlier in the game, he had a few shots that were set up for him and didn't execute to his usual standard. So, and it does create an opening here, so this is a big game.
Love.
monster rip from Granger right there in that return. In the middle of the court here, Bostrom and Rams are just laying off overheads, and it's perfectly safe. You know, Granger Lampropoulos could look to do a little bit of damage off those middle shots, just in setting something up for themselves. Like right there, instead of just lobbing that ball right where Bostrom's going to drop back, go with an off-speed, you know, low ball perhaps, or lob it over, you know, in this situation, Rams straight ahead of him.
30 low.
Yeah, it was the right shot. Ball came out nicely.
So what a quarterfinal matchup, Anthony. Everybody, you know, these guys are all so skilled. You know, very little is separating, you know, these guys in this match.
And that's the shot Lambo wants. He's been waiting for it all match, and he was cold. He has not hit that shot all day, and he jumped the line, missed it. But you're right, and that's what I was saying. Even with all this, you know, we're talking about some of the opportunities that Lambo and Granger could get or should get, but it's still, they're up 4-3 in the second set. So if they can turn this just a little bit more their way, we could be going to a third.
Great move from Granger there. Not bad. Oh my God, that was unbelievable. Is that a let court, Anthony?
That was a let court. So there's been, in the last 4 points, there's been 2 let court losers and 1 let court winner. So it's part of the game.
Again, that return of serve from Rams. You know, Lampropoulos didn't even try to make a play, just let it go through.
Yeah,
Rams and Bostrom refuse to move up in transition. They just are super comfortable playing the baseline. And I think to our point, Anthony, I don't think you work as hard when you play the baseline. I think they're really happy having Granger Lampropoulos be at the net a lot of the time here in this match.
That's good. Nothing. Yeah.
Oh, Rams was in his sweet spot there. Yeah, it's his favorite place to be. He didn't quite convert that one, but he's having fun for sure. Patty, what do you feel? You said it earlier, a point ago, about, you know, and I noticed it yesterday as well. Transition paddle is right. It's a huge part of the game. It opens up opportunities to win points and lose points if you handle it well. Yesterday I was watching the ladies play, and I noticed Flor Hanisch missed a lot of shots because she hit a great approach and won the transition, but then lost the next point coming into the net, and the other team hitting a good drive on that transition shot. So to your point about Bostrom and Rams staying back, is that a smarter play? Don't bait yourself into your successful transition shot?
Well, I think they have it as a tactic in this match in particular not to take the net over, because I just think they're so comfortable from the baseline, as you can see. So why not just stay there as much as the match?
Why not stay there?
Come on! And I think
That's
in
a great
transition,
drive.
you know, in the women's play yesterday, you know, there were a couple times where Hanisch had an uncharacteristic move where she's known for putting together a sequence of shots, usually involving a really well-placed lob that puts someone off balance, and then she'll make her move that, you know, kind of sneak in on a blitz. But, you know, she got caught a little bit out of position and not just looking. She was on top of the net, but didn't have a backhand, and And the danger of it when you have a forehand is you get handcuffed. And it's so easy to miss a little forehand volley and make it like too wristy, too much of a hands play, where that tends to be taken out of the realm of possibility if you are committed to your backhand volley.
Yeah, and I think sometimes you feel like you have to cover the whole net, right? When you transition that shot and your partner is hanging back, then you you feel like you have to cover more of the net on that next volley, which leads you to lean to your forehand volley more than just staying in the lane with the backhand volley. Granger comes up with another great serve there. He's hitting it well into that corner to the backhand side.
Game
5-4, Patty.
Lambropoulos, they lead the second set, 5-4.
They played a great game there.
Rams won the first set.
Yeah, and Rams, was having his way on his return of serves from that deuce court earlier in this match, and Granger and Lambropoulos have adjusted. You see sometimes Granger just stays back. Lambropoulos doesn't even try to make a play on the ball, and that time Rams didn't find the court. So we're at 5-4, second set, quarterfinal action from Philly. Our tour is almost complete for the year. The final event on the tour, Chicago Nationals in 2 weeks. 4 days of exciting play with some of the top players in the country battling it out, and we'll look forward to seeing both these teams in action throughout that weekend, I'm sure.
Well, you talk about peaking at the right time and winning matches leading up to the Nationals and losing matches leading up to the Nationals. I half jokingly, when I was speaking to Johan Duran and Stephen Mitchell after their Short Hills victory and knowing that they had just won all 4 Grand Prix events, I said, Johan, some people actually like to lose a match before they go into the Nationals so they have some momentum and some drive. I said, how do you feel about winning all 4 of these? And what do you think he said? He said,
I want 5.
He said, oh, I just won't play another match until the Nationals. So he has, he's the kind of guy that just wants to win every match. Every single match is just as important. So I don't think those guys will worry about peaking at the right time or not peaking at the right time.
It must be nice to be Mitchell and Duran. They seem to peak as soon as they walk on the court.
On the court, right? They stay peaked. Is that a term?
They do. That's how good they are. And, I think that's what you see in the game, that separation between the top players on both the men's and women's side, Anthony. I feel like that gap, sometimes is getting bigger. There's a wider gap, where how many teams going into nationals in Chicago have a legitimate chance to win the national title? On the men's side, maybe 4 or 5 teams, and maybe 3 or 4 on the women's side.
On the women's, yeah. This game is moving a little too fast for Granger Lambeau, but let's see if they can stop it. This is a game they want to play a long game here.
Game,
Not the best
Boston
choice.
Rams. We're tied at 5 games apiece in the second set.
Yeah, pretty easy
So
hold
Patty,
there for Rams.
yeah, exactly. And these at this part in these matches, we've said it before, the big teams, the better players, the more mentally strong players will just sneak out that extra 1 or 2 points that they need in the biggest moments. And I feel like that last game for Granger and Lambropoulos, they just played it a little too maybe tentative, or just, that, again, they're just not quite there, right? They were thinking about the score or thinking about something else rather than just playing the match out.
You. You. Two. Me. Help me, help me, help me. Good.
Holy cow, what an athletic play from Rams.
casually strolled. Let Martin pick up the pieces and stroll back into his spot.
Stroll being the operative
Oh,
word.
that was there.
15 all.
Well, that's how good Bostrom is, Anthony. He can stroll.
He can.
$15-30.
Yeah, Granger's definitely not as comfortable in those exchanges. It's tough with Martin right in your face there.
Yeah, and Martin didn't hit it hard enough that Granger felt like he could let the ball go through and they could run it down off the screen.
Yeah, it was good pace on that.
In quarterfinal action, in the Araya West match, they are up over Broderick Christian. Or they're down to Broderick Christian 4-5 first set. So Broderick Christian have a slight edge. Tomas Christian, teaching pro down at Aronimink in the Philly area. I'm sure he's got some good crowd support today. West and Tomas Christian, two of the finer younger players in our sport, teamed up with two veterans in Wadaraya and Drew Broderick.
So a lot of mentoring going on in those two matches, right?
Hey, that's what makes the sport, and
It is.
you know, when these veterans can bring these younger players along, it just helps their trajectory, just, you know, totally changes their trajectory and can allow for just, you know, a steep learning curve.
I mean, we see it in this sport more than most that an air quote older player can really make it quite far into this, and partnering with a younger player and lending that stability and that knowledge, it usually works out really well. And you're right, it actually helps these younger players, and eventually they dump us older players and they move on. But
Hey, those veterans look for those young legs.
yes.
Over the course of these grueling tournaments over 2 days, you don't mind having some young legs on your team.
Right off the right hip, Martin spotted that perfectly.
They lead the second set, 6-5. They won the first set.
And against court etiquette, Martin went to get the ball. Isn't the court etiquette, Patty, that whoever misses the shot or whoever it hits off of is really responsible for getting that ball?
Anthony,
So what do we
that
think,
is the
Patty?
etiquette.
Two games.
Well, I just think this is on Rams and Bostrom paddle. I just think they have that explosive nature to themselves that at the key point, you have referred to that point exactly, that they can pull the trigger in those moments. And one of those players, Rams or Bostrom, knows what that feels like, recognizes that moment, and, you know, will feel totally comfortable going for the play.
Exactly.
15 love.
This is the hardest part of paddle tennis, is just converting the last couple of points, the last games. You see it all the time. Matches stay close, and then at the last few moments, it all of a sudden looks lopsided again because the better players, the mentally tougher players, just make that better choice at the right time.
And Anthony, that's what I'm talking about, the separation in the top part of the men's and women's game. And you go through the draws throughout the course of the season, and you see the teams, you know, who are in these tournaments are your top 4, 5, or 6 seeds. They're getting into every quarter and semi of the tournaments they enter. You know what I mean? Where you have a team like Granger Lampropoulos, number 10 in the country. You know, they're looking to make that next step to get a win over one of these top teams.
yeah, you call it, you kind of call it the breakthrough win, right? So that these guys always believe they can win, and they, like we said, they're very accomplished in tennis, so they definitely are mentally strong. They understand the dynamics of making good choices, but you still have to get that breakthrough win to really reinforce that feeling. And it's the win, it's the right shot at the right time. How many matches do you say, oh, we were in it every point, we were up 5-3, we were up 5-4, and we lost, right? It's just that little bit towards the end, that once you start winning those matches, then you kind of graduate into that next tier. It's a lot easier said than done.
I think Bostrom's overhead is the difference so far in this match, Anthony. He's
absolutely,
absolutely. He hits the spin, and it just, he's just not giving Lampropoulos any good looks out of that ad
Nothing.
Corner.
He hasn't seen anything.
Right, Lampropoulos made the move and that shot, a point ago to try to get in and cut it off. But that's the thing. That's the deceptive nature. And that's the thing about Bostrom and the way he hits it overhead, and he holds it and waits and then can change his mind because he's got so much grip and spin variety.
Yeah, I think if Granger and Lampropoulos lose this match, I think if you were to ask Lampropoulos, how he felt, he would be frustrated. He'd say, I didn't hit anything. I didn't get a chance to see my ball. I didn't get a chance to hit my favorite shots. And we would say why, and he would say they hit great overheads. So I think
well, I always say great teams take away their opponent's best shots.
Absolutely. And that's, I remember Drew Broderick saying that to me at one point years ago when, obviously my favorite shot was my backhand. And I remember after the match we played, and he said, how many backhands did you hit, Anthony? And I said, you know what? I don't think you gave me one. Right? So you do that. You take away someone's favorite shot, and all of a sudden, what do I do next? And, it's mentally tough to wrap yourself around that. And that's what I feel like Lampropoulos is right now. He's not bouncing around on his feet. He hasn't been bouncing around on his feet. He hasn't been trying to jump that line. I think he's kind of a little bit resigned. But it's all to the credit of Martin.
I just think he has the utmost respect for the overheads that Rams and Bostrom can hit over there, and they don't see that. They're great. They're number 10 in the country, but Rams and Bostrom, everyone would put them in the top 6 or 5 or 4 in the country. And that has to do a lot with the variety on their overhead. Shout out to Liz Landy enjoying the action. Everyone knows the critical moment in the match here, especially if you're Granger and Lampropoulos.
They're doing exactly what they need to do this point. They're keeping it long. They're hitting the high percentage shots. We'll see if it plays out.
See, I like that shot. The little floater from Granger, just a little tiny bit of a different look.
Yep. Good recovery.
Yeah, Lampropoulos just kept his paddle underneath and waited till that ball dropped.
So to your point, Patty, Martin just hit 4 different overheads in 4 consecutive shots, right? He had one with a light spin, one with a heavy spin, one roller, and one off pace, right? And Lambropoulos didn't have an opportunity to do anything with those. Every one was different. But they played a great long point, and they end up winning it out of maybe boredom. Just a
Well, it's kind of funny. You know, I think Rams got frozen out a little bit on
did.
the overhead.
He did.
Just because
And
Boston's been
now
handling
we see an ad out.
I kind of half expect Bostrom to hit like a hard flat overhead right at the corner on Lambropoulos because he's really giving Bostrom that look.
That's a great comeback, that game. They were 2 points away from the match.
Granger, Lambropoulos.
Played 2 really smart points.
Tied at 6 games apiece. Second
Took the
set.
right drives. And now we're moving into a tiebreaker. It's technically called a 12-point tiebreaker, Patty, but most people just call it a 7-point. It's the first to 7, win by 2.
And Anthony, we have an update. Humphreys and Osas got through their quarterfinal matchup after a brutal first set, 7-6 tiebreaker win. They won the second set 6-1 over their good buddies, Dennis and Friedrich.
Zero 1 in the tiebreaker.
Bad luck there.
1-1.
Yeah, Rams's serve to that ad court is really tough. I don't think Lambropoulos had one opportunity to drive that ball all day. Oh, it came in.
What touch from Bostrom on that short ball, Anthony.
He was channeling his partner on that shot.
1 serving 2.
I expect a bullet return to serve here. Shout out to our buddy, Coach Carl Lebanon, and Darian. Carl's one of
Great pickup off the left cord.
Yeah, Anthony Carl loves the different paddle outfits on display out here, and a little tongue-in-cheek, he sees Mitch Granger with the tights, the compression tights underneath his shorts, which was a look that we see a lot of in junior nationals. One of Carl Lebanon's favorite looks.
Does Carl rock that look, or he just appreciates that look? Because I do notice a lot of the young players do that.
Carl rocks any look, Anthony. No, Carl does not rock that look. He was a little mortified that his wife let the kids go to junior nationals that day. And
Looking
Carl
like that?
Yeah, the check down on the outfits.
Maybe a bad bounce off the screen, but it didn't look like Lampropoulos quite had his feet under him for that shot.
Yeah, where their screens are held together with that wire, Anthony, it looked like it just hit and went in the other direction than he expected.
Oh, I think he painted the line with that shot. And that's great overhead by Martin Bostrom, and he's been doing that to Lampropoulos all day, just keeping him a little bit uncomfortable in that corner.
Oh my Lord, look at that. That overhead just dying on that side screen. I mean, Alex Lampropoulos did everything he could.
It just dies.
But that just shows you the difference, you know, the spectacular overheads that Bostrom possesses and Philip Rams, really the difference here.
Five serving one.
That was a frustration, you know, swing from Granger right there. Had to play the score. Down 4-1. Not the time to just tag one.
There. No.
Yep.
Yeah, you saw how close up from the side screen Lampropoulos committed to that shot. He came up with it from the Bostrom overhead.
Just deep, and here we are with match point. Multiple match points.
Who's your money on, Anthony? I'm only kidding.
We've you and I came back from down 6-1, I believe, in a tiebreaker once, Patty. But I'll still keep my.
One of my favorite comebacks ever.
I think that was also in Philly. So we won't
In
go too
Philly,
far into that
Waynesboro
story,
Country
but
Club.
It was.
Court number 3.
You remember everything. Great match. Bostrom Rams win 6-4, 7-6. They will play Humphreys Osis Koenig in the semifinals. Any parting thoughts on that, Patty?
No, Anthony, a really fun, entertaining match. Just high skill level, all 4 players. Beautiful, beautiful racket skills. Just, you know, great play, but the difference, just like we kept referring to it with Bostrom Rams and their overheads, just have too much variety, too much spin. Kind of didn't give Lampropoulos and Granger too many easy looks at anything today.
Yeah, overheads were fantastic. Thank you, Patty. So that is a wrap, and we will be back for the semifinals. Again, Humphreys Osis Koenig. Bostrom Rams will be playing on this side at, was scheduled for 6 o'clock, but I suspect it'll be a little bit later than that. So check back in. Thank you very much, Patty.
Thank you, Anthony.